Thanks for coming. I'm Noreen Humes with the Downtown Missoula Partnership, which is a partnership between the MDA, VID, and the Downtown Foundation. This is presented today by the MDA, and I welcome you all. We just finished up a customer service workshop prior to this one that was really well attended and very fascinating and interesting information. Just a few housekeeping concepts. If you need to get up at any time and roam around, that's great. Please help yourself to the refreshments and goodies in the back. If you don't know, the restrooms are through the foyer, down the hall, and to the right. So help yourself to what you need to do. I am introducing Barbara Wold. We are so fortunate to have her here. She's had over 40 years of experience internationally speaking to groups like this. She's an expert in marketing, retail, business strategies, entrepreneurship, all of it. And you are in for a treat. She has some fun and dynamic stories to tell you. So please welcome Barbara Wold.
Thank you, Noreen. The name has been an absolute joy. She's so attention to detail. I tell you, I love working with people like that. Obviously, you don't want to be called on.
No, she had my spot.
Doesn't bother me at all. Several years ago when the Wynn Encore Hotel opened up in Las Vegas, Matt Lauer from the Today Show was there interviewing Oscar Goodman. Oscar Goodman at the time was mayor of Las Vegas. And Matt Lauer says to him, he says, you know, your tagline for Las Vegas is so fabulous. Everybody know what it is? What? Stays in Vegas, yes. And Mayor Goodman said, yes, it is fabulous. But when a guest comes, a visitor comes, if they don't get the kind of experience that they expect, who cares? It doesn't make any difference. And it's true, isn't it? He said, we partner with everybody. He said, we partner with the hotels, with the casinos, with the town cars, with the limo drivers, with the taxi cabs, with the restaurants. He said, we partner with everybody to make sure that the experience the guest has meets up with our slogan. Now, Mayor Oscar Goodman is no longer the mayor. He took all of his terms he could, and they loved him so much, now his wife is the mayor. Yes, very interesting. If you ever go to Vegas, and you ever see a picture of a man with a very large nose, you'll know that's Oscar Goodman. But the showgirls love him. He has done so much for the city. Hannaford's Market is up in the state of Maine. That is the big shopping, the big market chain in the state of Maine. And I was there in my hotel room preparing for a presentation for the Maine Tourism Conference. And it was called the Maine Event, spelled M-A-I-N-E. And as I'm preparing and putting things together, I have the television on. And on the television is an ad for Hannaford's Market. And it doesn't say, tomatoes are 99 cents a pound this week. It's telling me that the experience I'm going to have shopping in Hannaford's is what's going to do it. So that's what it takes. It's all about the experience today. You know, if you want to take your business and make sure that everybody knows about it, then obviously it's the experience they have in that business. That's what they're going to brag about. Now, Topher, who's with the partnership, came up to tell me, so the last session I asked for the audience to come up with either satisfactory or unsatisfactory experiences they've had. He had one awful experience in a very nice restaurant here that he loves. But he said he was afraid to tell anybody else. He says, I've told everybody privately, but I'm afraid to yell it out in the room. Last session I gave an example, and so I'm going to repeat this about the Fullerton
It's
Hotel.
okay, repeat all you want.
No.
I'll remember it better.
I've got a fan up here already. In all of the business magazines I get for business meetings, they're all saying, have your business meeting at the Fullerton Hotel in Singapore. The Fullerton Hotel is in Singapore, right at the mouth of the Singapore River. Every single one of the travel magazines I get, I said, oh, you've got to stay at the Fullerton Hotel. It's fabulous. So, and I'm opening the magazine on the plane. I'm flying Singapore Airlines, and they partnered with the Fullerton Hotel. And again, they're saying how fabulous it is. So, one of my last evenings, I get all dressed up, I tour the grounds, because this has been the old British Colonial Postal Building. Absolutely glorious, with big white columns, beautiful hotel. And so I tour the grounds, gorgeous. Then I go to sit down to have a cocktail before dinner. Unbelievable. The young lady was able to take my order, deliver some nuts, present me with the bill, take my credit card, bring back the voucher for my signature, all with one word. And the word was, yes. What happened to my expectations? Did I stay for dinner? No. No. I went back to the hotel I was staying at. It wasn't as fancy, but the service was impeccable. And that's the key today. The next key is you've got to reward your customers. Okay, I fly Delta Airlines. I've got a few million miles with Delta. They treat me very, very well. But years ago, I missed the flight because of weather. I had to be in Louisiana, in Shreveport, Louisiana, for a meeting the next morning. Delta arranged a limo driver to take me from the Atlanta airport to Shreveport, Louisiana. Would they do that today? No. But they did it then. This was years ago. Years ago. But with Delta, I was flying from Minneapolis to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Coming back, it was coming back. It wasn't going up. Coming back, so Canadians did this. On my seat, I was flying first class, and on my seat was this little note. And it said, thank you, Miss Wold, for choosing Delta Airlines. First I thought it was a piece of trash left on the seat, and then I noticed my name was on it. Did that make me feel special? Of course it did. That's all it took. Something as simple as that. It's also knowing who you are, what type of business you're in, being able to explain your business to somebody else. I was going to be in Cincinnati, and I'm on the plane, and I bumped up to first class. And the gentleman next to me, he's reading spreadsheets. Well, I noticed at the top of the spreadsheets is for Domino's Pizza. So I'm kind of sitting reading, kind of looking to see what it is. And then I recognized the gentleman. It's Tom Monahan. He is the founder of Domino's Pizza. So I sat real straight in the chair and I said, Mr. Monahan, I said, I recognize you. And I said, you know, your pizza's my favorite pizza. He goes, no, it's not. He said, we're not in the best pizza business. We're in the business of good pizza in 30 minutes. We're in the business of just the kids are done with soccer at 6 o'clock, they're hungry, I'm ordering pizza. That's the business we're in. We're in the business of the guys are coming over an hour to watch the game, I'm ordering pizza. And so when he said that, it made me really realize that. So many people don't know what kind of business they're in. Could you explain your business in 7 words? Have you ever heard of the term elevator speech? Did you know what that was?
You do your pitch in the elevator.
It's in an elevator. I mean, they use that as a term. It basically is, once you're done with 7 words explaining what you do, people tune you out. So they kind of use that, you know, that's about how long you'd have between floors or whatever. No. But it's being able to explain your business in 7 words. What about attention spans? Are they very long today? No. Have any of you heard of the seminar series? It's called TED, T-E-D. Yeah, it was on 60 Minutes, I think, a few weeks ago, all about it. And I've been invited to a couple, but I have not gone. And very interesting. The presentations are only 18 minutes long. That's it, because that's the attention span. So, but after I met Tom Monahan, the next week I was going to be in Columbus, Mississippi. Have any of you been to Columbus, Mississippi? It is, all the Antebellum mansions are still there. This is where General Sherman housed all of his injured soldiers. So the town wasn't burned. And just a beautiful little town. And so I was going to be there working for a week. And what was going to happen was I'm going to speak at the beginning of the week, the women's college. I'm going to speak at the end of the week, culminating everything that I found out during that week. But in between time, I'm going to meet with 5 to 7 retailers, businesses a day. And everyone from the restaurants to the banks, the hotels, the liquor store, and so on. Well, my first, they were to have in my room for me a package of information with how they got into business, a little bit about their business, their marketing plan, and so on. Well, my first stop was North Mississippi Computers. And I get there, and Mike's the owner, and he takes me around his business. And I'm looking at everything, and then I said, okay, Mike, I said, let's go back and sit down in your office and talk. And Mike, North Mississippi Computers, I said, okay, Mike, who is your competition? He said, well, Walmart and Office Depot. I said, really? I said, I don't think so. He goes, well, yeah, they're my competition. And I said, but Walmart and Office Depot sell new computers. You sell refurbished computers. Is it this competition? No, not at all. I said, what is your expertise? He said, my expertise is I have a staff here that can repair anything. He said, that's my expertise. I said, that's what you need to be selling. You are an expert in what you do. He said, I am? I said, yes. You know, what is this 10% off? I said, everything you had in my envelope, every ad was 10% off. I said, do you consider that marketing? He goes, well, I thought that was the way to do it. I said, I said, you're going to market yourself as an expert. So at the end of the week, when I did the final presentation at the Mississippi Women's College, he brings to me his business card, North Mississippi Computers, an oversized card. Have computer problems? We have the answer. He brought to me also his new website, a picture of his new website. Have computer problems? We have the answer. Make sense? Yes. Now he has the employees of Walmart and the employees of Office Depot sending him people that have computer problems and need help. So you need to figure out what kind of business you're in. And that brings to mind, I speak at all the different gift shows, trade shows, apparel shows, and so on. And I'll walk up to somebody and I'll say, and what is your name? Oh, I'm Susie. I have Susie's Boutique. And I said, now what do you sell at Susie's Boutique? We have everything. And I said, how can you have everything? So you've got to fine-tune it to tell your customers or potential customers what you have to offer, who you are, why you are even in business at all. Last week I stayed at the Hyatt up in Seattle, and I was there working with a travel agent group. And I had set my cell phone for my alarm in the morning, but then I thought, you know what, I'm going to call and ask for a wake-up call, just in case. Well, they had a real fancy phone system. I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't sure if I hung it up or not. And the next morning, my alarm went off on my phone. I got up, started to get ready to get in the shower, and there was a knock at my door. And I said, yes. I knew I hadn't ordered room service. I said, yes. He said, Miss Wold, he said, this is the front desk. He said, your phone must be off the hook. I wanted to make sure that you had gotten up. Would any other hotel do that? No, they wouldn't. Do you know how many hotels I've stayed in? No, they don't do that. Oh, yes, she didn't answer her phone. Too bad, you know. I mean, we're busy up here. So very impressed with that. And actually last week on May Day, when they had all of the protests in all the cities, Seattle was one of them. And I always wondered why they always have these protests on May 1st. Because May Day is a help signal. And I never thought about that. And so we had up in Seattle, and they marched right by my hotel, that was on Pine Avenue, right by my hotel and down 7th Avenue to the City Hall. You had Black Lives Matter, that protest was going on. You had the migrant farm workers, that protest was going on, and another one, and then they all merged and came together. You had the Indian dancers out in front and everything. It was unbelievable. But the college kids, it was peaceful, where last year it hadn't been peaceful. They had broken windows and everything else. I mean, it was ridiculous. And this year, the college kids lit a bonfire, and they burned 17 cars that night. Why? Yeah. Didn't you ask yourself that? Why? With all the hotels I stay in, I get customer response forms. And I either get them on the computer or I get them paper. I still get them paper. And here's one from a Renaissance hotel, 404 options. Now, did I fill this out? Tell me your name. Amy. Amy. Amy, did I fill this out? No. No, I have other things to do. All right, here's one from another Renaissance. 749 options. Did I fill this one out? No. They even have a box to show me exactly how to do it, so I don't make a mistake. What is that, a half-an-hour commitment? You know, it's not just, you know, rate your stay. Would you come back again? Yes or no? Rate your stay. 1 to 10. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. We had people from the medical center here, and recently I've had both hip replacement and knee replacement, and I said to them, after my stay, I got a customer response form from the hospital. You know, 500 questions on it. You know, who's going to fill it out? Nobody. Nobody at all. I mean, everything you do, you get a customer response form. Everything you do. From a Hyatt, this is on the desk of Hyatt's. It's pretty typical, about 50 different options inside. They gave me another opportunity. On the remote control was this. Ask me now to dial a particular channel on the TV and fill out a questionnaire. Did I do this? I'll give you the answers, Amy. No. They gave me another opportunity. This was on the little table now, and this was last November. This has got to be, if any of you are creative, this has got to be the ugliest piece of collateral ever. And it says, guest outreach advice liaison service. It just kind of rolls right off your tongue, doesn't it? You know, who thinks of these things? The Westin Hotel thought, okay, we're going to sit our guests down, we're going to feed them, and we're going to find out what they want from us. So they did. They invited guests, they fed them, and they said, what is it you want from us? Is it a fast check-in, a fast check-out? And you know what they said they wanted? A bedspread they weren't afraid to sit on. Remember when all the hotels had flower bedspreads? Not anymore. Not anymore. They created a totally white bed, the heavenly bed, tons of white fluffy pillows, white down comforter. Everything is covered. You don't want to see the blanket. You don't want to see anything. Everything is down comfort. Everything is a down comforter now. Yes. So they went to their guests, they asked, they got the answer. They did this 10 years ago. All right. When they first started, your placard on your bed was, welcome to Cloud 9. Do you know who sells heavenly beds? Starts with an N. It's a big department store chain. Huh?
Neiman Marcus.
No. Nordstrom. And then obviously Westin. In fact, there was just an article a few months ago, since this is a 10-year anniversary they've done this. The product lines they have created around this and the revenue streams from this has just been unbelievable. Your key is your key to heaven. And instead of do not disturb on the door, can't come to the door right now, I'm in heaven. There's a version for you on this side. I canceled a dinner one night just so I could crawl into bed earlier. No, I'm staying here, obviously. at the Holiday Inn. Bed is totally white, totally, with tons of white fluffy pillows, very comfortable, but just a little splash of color with the throw on the bottom. So they realize how important that is. I just stayed at a Disney hotel recently. I spoke for Disney in November, and their Coronado property, I forget what it's called, and they still have flowered bedspreads. I took my granddaughter on a Disney cruise when she was 9, so that's 10 years ago. She's 19 now, and she's germophobic. And there was a flowered bedspread, and there was a little spot on it. Every time she walked by that bed, it was like this. So, but the Westin, what they did was then, they went back to their guests. And they said, okay, now what do you want? And they said, we want better showers. So they created the Heavenly Shower. Dual shower heads, they upped the amenities, they put bathrobes in every bathroom. Where before, you wouldn't take a shampoo from a hotel unless you really needed one, right? Yeah, today, I mean, the products are beautiful. At the Marriott hotels, they use Bath and Body products, and they use ginger sage fragrance, which is the fragrance they don't even sell in the stores. It's designed just for them, and I love it. So I always get to know housekeeping very, very well, so I can get a few extras. A woman a couple of weeks ago said, Barbara, I do the same thing. I have a whole closet full of them. So it's little things like that that make a difference. Well, the cruise line, they said, okay, we're going to lower our fares so more people cruise. Yeah. Lower our fares. And then one of the executives thought, you know what, why don't we follow what the hotel industry is doing? Let's follow what they're doing. So now you can take a cruise and sleep on the Mariner's Dream bed, because they realize that's what pushes the customer's button. That's what the customers get excited about. Last session I mentioned taking off your blinders, how important it is. And it's important for every one of the groups I'm going to speak to here. Because I was up in Monterey, California, and I was speaking at a program in the morning. And then in the afternoon, the attendees had the afternoon off to explore Old Monterey. And then that evening, there was the cocktail reception. So I'm walking around the cocktail reception, greeting people and talking to them. And a woman came up to me, she's Barbara, she said, you told me how important it was to take off my blinders and be aware of what's going on around me. She said, I thought I was always very observant. She said, but since you said that, when I walked around Old Monterey today, she said, I saw things I never would have seen. She said, thank you so much. So take off your blinders, and if you need to steal things from hotels so that you remember things, do it. You can tell I do. But I noticed good, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and awful. All of it. I noticed. You want to be exceptional, and that's what you need to be. You can't, one of the topics last week when I worked with travel agents is you can't just be satisfactory now. That's a word I don't want to hear. You've got to stand out in the marketplace. You've got to be excellent. Let's hear about some of the businesses that are here. I want to hear. What business are you with?
Betty's Divine's women's boutique.
Women's boutique. Are you with the same one? Okay. What business?
The Organization of Realtors.
Organization of Realtors. I'm trying to think what the letters are for that.
More.
Huh?
More.
That's right.
Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
And what kind of foundation is that?
It's a nonprofit hunting conservation organization.
Fabulous. Are you with the same thing?
Missoula Downtown Association.
Okay. I didn't know that. Sorry. Well, I know who you are, Noreen.
Run Wild in Missoula.
And what is that?
We're a running and walking nonprofit organization.
Oh, all right. Wonderful. You're the same one?
University of Montana.
That's right. You're a teacher at university.
Played
Robert. No.
Rhonda.
Rhonda. I knew it started with an R.
Yes.
I knew that.
Played against sports.
Huh?
Played against sports. It's a sporting store.
Sporting store. You got too much hairspray, so you got to yell it out.
I'm with an ice rink,
What?
an ice skating rink.
Ice skating rink. Okay.
Can't Make a Dream. We're a Children and Family Oncology Camp, nonprofit.
Wonderful.
The Downtown Association.
Downtown Association?
Mobile food service.
Oh, you're the hot dog guy?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
City of Missoula.
City of Missoula?
Missoula Osprey Baseball and MSO Hub.
What? Oh, Missoula has some great organizations. And you're with the Downtown Association.
University of Montana. University of Montana.
University of Montana, what do you teach, or you?
I actually provide some more services to students with disabilities.
Fabulous. And I know you're with the Downtown Association, and
Next door to Betty's Divine, the Jeanette Rankin Peace Center. Nearly next door.
it's really next door. All right. Every organization that you go into, you'll form an opinion about it. I'll give you a very, very good example. I was working with Oneonta, New York. And in Oneonta, New York, the downtown has some challenges because there are 3 colleges in Oneonta. This is in upstate New York, 3 colleges. And so the majority of the stores are tattoo parlors or pizza places. So it's a real challenge. Yeah, the Hallmark store is left and everything. I mean, and so what we came up with was a program so that every single Tuesday, the merchants would then visit another business. So next Tuesday, you're responsible. You guys supply coffee, pastries, and everybody else from the downtown, all the other businesses are going to come to your store, your boutique. Okay, first of all, it gets you to spiff up your boutique, really take a look at it, clean, make sure everything's perfect. And then this group comes in, maybe 8, 10, 12 people, to take a look. They're going to come up with 3 things that are fabulous in your boutique, and 3 things that could be changed to make it a little bit better. All right, so the next week, they're going to go into your business. So you're going to clean up your business. Well, yeah, you say you're always clean. It's funny, well, I was in Great Falls yesterday and the day before, and the downtown Main Street director responsible for the BID, Business Improvement District, she said, I wish you were, I was there with the EDC, Economic Development, and she said, I wish you were coming, I would have had you work with my merchants. She said, I called for my merchants to see if you could just stop by to take a look at the stores. She said, I called 2 women that own stores, and they said, oh yes, bring her in. She said, I called 2 men that own businesses, and both of them said, no, we don't want her here. Because one of them said, if you had given me 6 weeks notice, I could have cleaned up my store. And I thought, 6 weeks? What does it look like in there? But by getting these people and new eyes to look at a business, didn't make any difference what kind of business it was. Those that wanted this group to come in, you know, I mean, what a great, you know, audience. And a new set of eyes to look at it. And this is what you need to do with any type business. All right, maybe some of you are with nonprofits and you only look at nonprofits. No, you can gain information from any type business. And that's why I said you've got to take off those blinders. I was told earlier, Linda had mentioned how many tourists come to Missoula starting next week. All right, you are all goodwill ambassadors for the city. You need to know everything there is to know about Missoula. Cities like Kansas City, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Ybor City in Florida. Ybor City in Florida is fascinating. This is where all the Cuban cigar makers came in 1900. The main drag is 7th Avenue, is all brick. You've got all of the social clubs, you have the Italian social club and everything. Fascinating area. And yes, they have goodwill ambassadors that travel the city to help, because they get lots of tourists, to help kind of direct the tourists. Well, they're all gentlemen, and they drove me around their little golf cart and everything, you know. It was so much fun being there. But they walk around, they all have Panama hats on and stogies. And they walk around. It's the cigar maker capital of the world. So, but they're ambassadors. You are all ambassadors. San Juan, Puerto Rico, down in the historic district in Old San Juan, They have all high school and college students that walk around on the weekends. They have fanny packs, but the ones with like little pockets. So they have brochures, everything else they can direct you around. All right, Missoula doesn't have that. So who's the Goodwill ambassador, Susie? You are, right, you are. So you need to know everything there is to know. Any new restaurants in town? In last session, I used the example of Kansas City. They feed their taxi cab drivers every 2 weeks. They give them lunch. But they also tell them what restaurants have opened up, what conferences are coming in, what's happening in Kansas City. Because as I had mentioned earlier, that I go into a city and I ask, oh, what should I see? When I went into Great Falls the other day, I had never been to Great Falls before. So I asked the shuttle driver, I said, I've never been here before, tell me about Great Falls. You know what he said? I like to fish, and that was it. And I compared that to when I visited Boise for the first time. And I said to my shuttle drivers at the Hampton Inn, I said to the shuttle driver, I said, my first time to Boise, what should I see? He goes, where should I start? He was so proud of the city. We'll all go other places and go, oh, there's nothing to do here. Everybody's moving out. I mean, it's your opportunity to show off your city. It's an opportunity. So you need to be aware of everything. Yesterday when I was driven in from Great Falls, I was given a tour of the town. We did a little driving tour. And Marcy, Marcy Allen, who's here with the city, drove me through, and she showed me all the restaurants to eat, what boutiques were cute, you know, and showed me all these places. So she knew, but she's here working with the city. She's with her economic development. You need to know as well. If you had a friend come in for the weekend, you know, where would you take her? Where's the first place you'd take her? What?
The foundation where I work.
Oh, the foundation where you work, okay. Where would you take somebody if you had somebody coming from out of town?
The generic movie center. Well, I mentioned at the earlier session that one of the things that I think is so wonderful about Missoula are all the artistic light boxes by every.
I can see what they are, yeah.
You've got to see.
Yeah, well, we're going out for lunch.
Millions of them. And every electric stop
Yeah.
sign, there is a light box, and on it is original art.
Oh, I cannot wait to see this. Yes, because that does sound wonderful. But everybody needs to be proud of their city. So many people are not. No. In fact, I was up in, what was the name of it? It was in upstate New York, Foster. And they were complaining that all the college kids, when they graduated from college, they left. They left town. They moved away. The only thing there was a cardboard box company and Nestle's chocolate plant. And you know what? They gave me a gift there. You know what they gave me? A 10-pound bar of chocolate. Now, do I need a 10-pound bar of chocolate? No, I was going to have to buy the seat on the plane. So the next hotel I went to, I gave it to the front desk there. I said, divide this up between all the employees. But in upstate New York, they did not know how to get the Gap to come in and open the store. Now, how are they going to get the Gap to come in and open the store? They said, Barbara, help us go to ICSC, the International Council of Shopping Center Convention, and help us get the Gap here. Well, if your population's leaving, I don't think you're going to get the Gap here, right? So it's so interesting in all these little communities that I go to, you know, what they're looking for and what they think they need. What they really needed was to shape up all the merchants and all the businesses they had in their downtown area first, before they even do that. I was staying at the Palmer House Hilton in Chicago, and I went in to check into the hotel, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous historic hotel. It's on the National Registry and everything, beautiful, well over 100 years old. And the young lady at the front desk introduced herself to me. And she said, Barbara, I wanted to let you know that there are not coffee pots in the rooms. And I said, oh, I saw that on the internet. She said, if you want one, Just call housekeeping and they'll bring one up for you. And I said, well, you know, I'm on my way to Las Vegas after this to speak at a conference, and they're not coffee pots in those rooms either because of the fire danger. So I got to my room, tiny. It was tiny. There wasn't even a place to put the luggage rack. I'm thinking, oh boy. And I'm paying for this room myself. And that evening, gentleman delivers my room service meal. And the first thing he says when he walks in, he goes, oh, you got a tiny room. But how does that make me feel? Tiny. Well, I go to get ready for bed, and under the door is slipped a little note. The Palmer House Hilton. Dear Miss Wold, it was a pleasure meeting you at check-in today. Please enjoy your stay and have fun in Vegas after this. Thanks, Robin. That changed my opinion? That was all it was. And I thought about that afterwards. Is that a requirement of the hotel employees to write notes, or is this something she just does on her own? And I don't know at all. My cell phone's on Sprint service. Never had a problem, so kept it on Sprint. The other day, I got a little note from Sprint. Okay? I thought, well, it's going to be a computer-generated note. Is it? Handwritten. And look how long that is. It's not just thank you. Very impressed. Poor man, young men that had to sit and write that all day. At a hotel, a Hilton right outside of Phoenix, excuse me, this was on the desk and basically a welcome letter. Pretty typical. And it says on it, our entire staff wishes to ensure your stay with us is as comfortable and enjoyable as possible while experiencing our culture of, when it comes to the guest, the answer is yes. Now is the question. Isn't that wonderful? So I say, obviously, I say all sorts of things. And I was chatting with Susie up here. Susie was a teacher. And that's how I started out after college. I went to college when a woman was a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary, and that was it. There's nothing else. And you look at what there is today. My poor granddaughter, who's 19, starts college in September, and taking a year off and starting September. She says, how do I choose what I want to be? I said, just take your basics at first. You know, you can be anything you want today. Anything you want. When you look at the opportunities today, I mean, it's amazing. My grandson always asked me, now, did they have cars when you were born? I don't know how old they think I am. But they always love to hear about how I grew up and about my life growing up. Because I lived in like an Austin period type world. And the majority of you don't even know Austin here it is, actually. But, you know, I mean, you know, we didn't have a party line. But I was thinking the other day about party lines. Did you have a party line? Did you have a party line? You see, we didn't growing up, but our friends did. I had friends that had them. Where basically several families, you know, up to 3 families, I think, or so, maybe even more, had the same phone number. Yes. So the phone would ring and you'd have to pick it up to see if it was for you or not. I mean, times have definitely changed, haven't they? Yeah. My first cell phone, you'll love this, was one of those ones that's in the car phone. And it was the size of a shoebox. I mean, literally. And you know how much it was? $2,000. I did a consulting job in China just to pay for it. $2,000. My first printer, a laser printer for my computer, I worked on Apple. This was years ago, this is probably 30 years ago, was $3,000. Now I have a printer, a scanner, a copier, and a fax machine, all in one. It was $150. So you look at how things are coming down. One thing I don't understand, does anybody understand what 3D printers are? I still have not a clue. Do you understand what it is? Now they're making body parts with them for surgery. I mean, is that over your head?
Yes, please.
Over my head, that's for sure. Have any of you read the book Fish? No one in here? You can see how thick it is. It's not going to take you very long at all. What's it about? It's about Pike's Market in Seattle. Just there last week. In fact, one of the events this travel agent group was going to be at Pike's Market. It was a photo op. And one of the gals said, should I go? And I said, yes. She goes, well, all it is a marketplace with 100 fish vendors. And I said, oh yeah, but you gotta go. You gotta go. Because 100 fishmongers, they all sell fish. One of them decided to stand down. He said to his staff, okay, are we gonna be ordinary like everybody else? Or are we gonna stand out and be world famous? And what did they decide? World famous, yes. Because they can hire anybody to take fish off the ice, put it on the scale, wrap it in paper, bring it up on the cash register. Instead, they hire people that like to throw fish back and forth. And they yell and scream. They've been on television, they're training manuals with them and everything else, and training films. They're world famous. And they've come up with 4 simple principles that are in this book. The first one is, when you wake up in the morning, you decide what kind of attitude you're going to have for that day. Number 2 is have fun at work. Number 3 is make your customer's day. And number 4, be present. Be present. When I was in the airport on Monday flying to Great Falls, buying a newspaper, 2 young ladies behind the counter, one of them looking at her watch going, 1 hour down, 6 to go. She was there, but was she present? No. And I think the airport would be such an interesting place to work. I love to watch people. And it's amazing what people wear to travel. It looks like they were cleaning out their garage and decided to take a trip, right? And then as it gets warmer during the summer, it gets skimpier and skimpier. Yeah, it's amazing to me. Because the stewardess will say to me, because I have travel outfits, and they'll say to me, oh, you look so nice today. I'm thinking it was because everybody else looks so awful. Because it used to be glamorous to travel. Not anymore, at all. As I said, it's thin, pick it up, you can buy it, get it anywhere. There's fish sticks, fish tails. I'm walking through the Kuala Lumpur airport, and the bookstore has fish sticks and fish tails all piled up, and then it has the books hanging with fishing line all over the window. I understand that the gentleman that owns this, the fishmonger that has started this whole thing, he hires ex-criminals and tries to get them, back into society. And it's great. It's so much fun. And I was telling this gal last week, I said, when you go there, you're going to see all the Japanese tourists with their little cameras taking pictures, and you're going to see all of the people that work in downtown Seattle. They may not be buying fish at lunchtime, and they've got their little yogurt they're eating for their lunch, but they're watching the show, and it is a show. Have any of you been there? No. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So much fun. All right, well, they sometimes throw fish to customers. Oh, yeah. And if I were to throw you a fish, it'd probably go right through your fingers because slippery, slimy, everything else, correct? But after 3 or 4 tries, you might be able to do it. All right, who wants to catch a fish? All right. What a sad group, my goodness. Okay, you want to stand up or sit down?
Sit down.
All right, it's not very heavy, so I can't throw it very far, so I'm glad you're close. Woo! That's yours.
Oh, thank
Does that make your day?
you. It'll make my daughter's day.
Perfect. Perfect. It doesn't take much, does it? No. Not at all.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Speaking about Kuala Lumpur, I went to Kuala Lumpur for the very first time October, right after September 11th. And I was a little nervous. And my family was nervous. They didn't want me to go, but it was always on my wish list, so I wanted to go, so I did. And I spoke for the International Council of Shopping Centers over there. And after I spoke, a woman approached me, Farah Khan, and she said, Miss Wold, she said, would you speak to my people on Friday? She said, I own franchises, I own my own stores, and I own restaurants. And she said, I'll pull all my people together. Would you speak with them? And I said, certainly. She said, my Indian accountant, well, we'll meet us at lunch, and we can discuss the whole thing. He comes with US $100 bills. Okay. So I speak at her meeting, and then she said, Miss Wold, she said, would you join me for dinner tonight at a dinner party? And I said, well, Mrs. Khan, I said, I have a few invitations, and I leave in a couple days, so let me just think about it. When her driver drove me back to my hotel, he said, Miss Wold, go. There are going to be movers and shakers there. So I went, my driver pulled up, and he said, I can't go any further, Miss Wold. There are armed guards here around the house. And I said, do not leave me, Dennison. Let me make sure this is where I'm supposed to be. So I get out of the car, and one of the armed guards said, Miss Wold, we've been waiting for you. And they escort me into the home. They're doing Stoli vodka shooters in the living room. I think, okay. And I have a copy of my passport. I've got that money in case there's not a driver to take me back to my hotel. But what it was an outcoming party for the friend of a prince and princess, a Muslim prince and princess. She had lost her husband a year earlier to cancer, and it was kind of her coming out party. So the Muslim prince and princess, his father had been king of Malaysia, which is an elected position, not a birthright. And so they were throwing the party. And it was a dinner party for 40, round tables of 10, 4 round tables of 10. And the princess kept on apologizing to me because she didn't have a place card for me. It was the most interesting evening. It was during Ramadan, so they were afraid, and they wanted to ask if my family was afraid and everything. After dinner, the prince got up and serenaded everybody out of his Beatles songbook. Karaoke is a big thing over there. And I got back to my hotel room, I laid on the bed, and I thought, I almost didn't go. And I thought, what a fabulous evening. So, take advantage of every opportunity we have. We all receive opportunities, and, sometimes we think too much, we think about too much, and instead I just went with it. So just, my daughter, I turned 70 in August, and my daughter's trying to talk me into getting a tattoo. And she says, Mother, just go with it, have fun. And I thought, that's the last thing I get. Who wants to see a 70-year-old with a tattoo, right? Susie,
Oh, I think it'd be great.
how many do you have?
Well, I don't yet.
It's fine for the young people, but for
You
me.
can have it right here, nobody can see it.
What do you mean nobody see it? Do you not have any fun? Okay. P.T. Barnum once said, without promotion, without excitement, something awful happens. Nothing. Nothing. P.T. Barnum would go into a city. First of all, he'd form a partnership with the hospitals there, the children's hospitals, and he'd send his clowns in. He'd also then parade the elephants up and down the main street to create some excitement, because he knew how to do it. So that's why, if none of that is done, nothing happens. So you have to create some excitement. Denver Merchandise Mart has been a client now for 30 years. And I went in, I was doing a program recently on marketing. And I was talking about the importance of marketing, and Rosie is one of my followers there, and she has Rosie's, is the name of her boutique. She's a boutique. Funky stuff. Rosie, instead of, 3 bracelets, she'll have them all up her arm. Yeah, that's Rosie, larger than life, just fabulous person. So she went to Paris. She says, Barbara, I went to Paris last spring on a buying trip. And she said, I wanted to bring back some fun stuff for my customers. And she's in Denver. And she said, so when I came back, I created a postcard. And here's Rosie standing in front of the Eiffel Tower. And she said, I sent this out to customers, potential customers. And on the back, Mon ami, my friend, went to Paris with you in mind. Come see my latest finds. It was great. It was unbelievable the response she got from this, because it really is Rosie standing in front of the Eiffel Tower. So when they got the mail, that was really a handwritten postcard from her. She brought back those eyelashes with the rhinestones on the end, things I know that you'd wear in Missoula, right?
Definitely.
Definitely, okay, that's a hot item here. All right. She went this spring now, just came back, and she thought, okay, what kind of a postcard am I gonna send this time? And she go, don't you wish you'd send a little closer now? This is what she did this time. It's a picture of herself at the Louvre. It's a picture, basically a postcard of her ticket to the Louvre. Well, the majority of people in Denver have never been to the Louvre. They didn't know what it was. You know, she had no response from it. All right. 3 girls in Denver, actually in Castle Rock, just south of Denver, have a little boutique, 3rd Street Boutique. One of the girls buys costume jewelry, one of the girls buys accessories, belts, purses, things like that, and the other one buys lingerie. And it's a darling little boutique. But they needed just a pump up in their business. They needed something exciting to happen. So they thought, well, we don't have much money. We want to send a direct mail piece, but we just don't have enough money. What can we do? So they went to the local junior college. They went to the art department and asked the professor, will you design an art project around a direct mail piece for us? He goes, what a great idea. That sounds fabulous. Went to the local newspaper, had lunch with the editor, schmoozed her, took her out for lunch, told her what she was doing, that she was doing a partnership with the local junior college and their art department. She thought it was fabulous. So she ran a half-page article about them, went to the printer and said, will you give us a discount on the printing if we let you put your name on the bottom? He goes, of course. He goes, printers are having a tough time, yeah, I'll be glad to do that. So he did. So the student that was chosen had done a caricature of the 3 girls. On the back, there was a drawing for a $100 gift certificate. So they put their little card in the box. It's already had their name and address on it. The response was unbelievable. People saw the article in the paper. They wanted to see which girl was which girl. They were all excited. I mean, it just created such a fuss in town. Well, this was last Christmas. They just did it again. And this is the postcard. A picture of a t-shirt with rhinestones on it. So things have to be a little bit different today to get their attention, get the customer's attention. You know, what's going to grab their attention? I always tell retailers and businesses if they're going to do a mail out of anything, do you do any mailings? Okay. If you go away, I'm away for a week on this trip. When I get home, I'm going to have junk in my mailbox. To take it and lay it all out and to look at it. What grabs my attention out of any of those things there? Does anything grab my attention? Blue is always the most popular color, always has been and always will. And that grabs your attention. Have you noticed on the internet, I mean, I notice this now on the internet, I get so many newsletters, ad pieces that I never sign up for and things like that, and they're done now in a gray, not black. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, it looks sexier, but it's hard to read. And then some of the copy is in like a dark yellow, you know, and then the links are done in a soft color too. I mean, you can't read the things. I can't read half of them. I have to forward them so I can highlight them, enlarge them, and put them in black. I mean, seriously. It's not worth it. I mean, I just trash them, I throw them away, you know. But I mean, people don't look at and analyze what they're sending out. I see that all the time. It's amazing how many emails I get I know were never proofread. Yeah. In fact, one recently was from a gentleman thanking me for my patience because he hadn't gotten back to me for so long. And instead of patience, it was P-A-N-I-E-N-T-S, like a patient, a sick person. And don't people read these things? No. And isn't that, I mean, that's a reflection on your business. Are you guys on Facebook? Your business? Okay. I was at the Denver Merchandise Mart, again, the same program on marketing. I had 3 girls come up and they said, Barbara, we own Putting on the Ritz. Putting on the Ritz is in Denver, and it is both consignment as well as new products. They buy new products at the mart and accessories and things, but then they also have consignment. I said, we are on Facebook. You got to check us out. So I said, okay. Got back to my hotel room, looked at my computer, and yes, they were on Facebook. And you know, on Facebook, you don't have much of a space to kind of describe your business. 3 typos. Consignment was 1. And I thought, okay, should I bother saying that? Well, they'd asked to sit down and have coffee with me afterwards, yes. So I called, and the owner said, she said, well, Barbara, she said, you know what, she said, we'll get that changed right away. She said, thank you for letting me know. I have one of my employees doing it. You know how long it took? 1 week. Is that a reflection on the company? Of course it is. Of course it's anything you send out. How do you get people into your business?
Well, I made a sign that said close out on close, and I spelled it C-L-O-T-H-E-S on C-L-O-S-E. I thought that would help.
Did it?
Did you get it?
No, I'm just trying to figure it out. I was in Blissfield, Michigan last fall, and I was touring the town. The Main Street director gave me a tour of their business district, their core area, and then the next day I did a program for all of the downtown merchants and community merchants. And one of the gals came up and she handed me her card, and it was called Repeats. And I said, tell me about your business. She goes, well, I buy things at garage sales, at estate sales, and then I repurpose them. I repaint them and I repurpose them, so I turn them into different things. And she said, I have my workshop right in the back of the store and have it open so people can see what I'm doing, and they love it. It's fascinating. And so then I asked the Main Street director, I said, how does her business do? She goes, awful, awful. And I said, did we pass it when you were driving me around yesterday? She goes, oh yeah, we passed it. It was the one with the blacked out windows. She got out there one Saturday and she painted her windows black, thinking that that would create intrigue to bring people in. I mean, have you ever heard of anything so dumb in your life? And then there was repeats painted on the window in white against the black. And then she had a little sign, soy candles. So I didn't know what she did. You know, I mean, this is what I have to deal with, you realize. You know, I go into areas where, Wyoming, did a tour of all the downtowns in Wyoming. I visited 3 in 1 week, drove 1,000 miles. Not a very exciting state. It was pretty flat. I was exhausted by the end of the week. But, get to my second appointment. Second Sam working with Douglas, Wyoming. And we were going to have a meeting in the morning. I was going to have lunch with the Economic Development Council. And then that afternoon, I was going to meet with individual merchants to spend an hour with each one of them, give them an idea of how they might be able to improve their business. Okay, this is the way it was set up. In the morning, at the meeting, lovely refreshments laid out. Oh, she'd spend all of her time arranging cutting up the fruit and bringing the pastries in and everything else. Had the meeting, very successful. Had lunch with the Economic Development Council, and then we walk back to her office, and she says, well, Barbara, she says, you know, I have things to do in my office. I didn't have time to plan a schedule for you, so just sit in the conference room. And I told people you'll be here, maybe somebody will wander in. I thought, what a waste of money. I got to read every brochure they've ever done for that city, and all the little brochures, and I read everything word for word, I'll tell you. But I thought, what a waste of money. You know, so it's, you know, take advantage of every opportunity you have. I opened up my mailbox one day, and there was this. And it was a postcard for 2 free entrees. There were 2 coupons on here, one for Newport Landing and one for Harborside Restaurant. All right, this is when I still lived on Balboa Island. I lived on an island off the coast of Newport Beach for the last 20 years. And now I'm in Denver because that's where my daughter, my son-in-law, my 2 oldest grandchildren are. And I decided to move while they still want to see me. But what I have to do for the island, because my island was little, and we had a little 2-lane bridge that went over, or a 3-car ferry that went to the peninsula. And I miss the water. But I love the mountains. I'm enjoying the Rockies, but I do miss the water. So I go over one Sunday afternoon, I take off the one little coupon and go over, and I said to the young lady, my server, I said, is this coupon good today? And this is for Newport Landing. She said, oh yes, it's good today. And I said, I will have this for $20. I said, this is a $40 postcard. Not bad. Free, no strings attached. Can't beat it. So I said, I will have the seafood salad and a glass of water. Crackers come, water comes, seafood salad comes, water's refilled, and I don't see her anymore. Then I see her, I thought, well, I better get some things done. So I see her across the restaurant, I go, check please. She yells across the restaurant to me, you're good to go. Okay, what happened there? What happened? Okay, now this is where you jump in, okay? You realize you're being photographed. Where this is being taped, so what happened?
The meal was free, so she gave up on you.
She gave up on me because it was free, okay? I tipped her anyway.
Why? No, I'm serious.
I don't know. What happened? What did she miss out on?
Well, she's not been adequately trained.
No, she's not adequately trained.
Well, you're not going to come back and actually buy a meal because you have a very good experience.
It happens like your situation, it happens to be a very good restaurant, one of my favorites. But she doesn't know that.
Right.
She doesn't know that.
She just didn't find you valuable because you were free.
All right.
You
How
expense-
could have I been valuable?
Because if you have a coupon, you won't spend more, and you could have bought a whole meal, right?
Oh, the seafood salad was a meal.
Oh, but that was
Okay, but you're on the, you're on the verge. Come on, come on.
Take over. Well, the whole point of that is to even just get people in the door and to have a great experience, so then they come back.
Right.
So you're not, I mean, I wouldn't go back.
Okay,
It makes you feel awkward.
okay, you're missing out.
You only bought a salad, so you still have more money left over on there, right?
Yeah.
So she never registered the card to pay for that salad, so technically you still have $20 on there.
It's a $20 entree, so that paid for my salad.
Okay.
I can heal some, your wheels are going real.
They can't do any follow-up with you, that you actually came because they didn't register.
Okay, can't do any follow-up.
Complete missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity, why?
Well, because they should have made sure your experience was so wonderful that you would have come back. They don't know that you're a repeat customer, although if she works there, she should, if you're there all the time.
Should I give you the answer?
Yeah.
She didn't try and upsell me.
Well, no.
No, Sunday afternoon, glass of wine, maybe a glass of champagne, cup of coffee, maybe dessert. Well, she might have looked at me that she doesn't need dessert. Don't shake your head like that. That's rude. She didn't have the opportunity to upsell me. She didn't take that opportunity. She just assumed that was all I wanted. Well, I happen to know the owner of this restaurant because he sat on the EDC board with me. And I thought, should I call him? I thought, yep, I'm going to. So I did it. And I explained the girl, he knew exactly who it was. He said, Barbara, every time I send out a coupon, he said, do I need to retrain them? I said, yes. Also, she never said, oh, try the harbor side. Use their coupon. They have fabulous food as well, because it's just a block away. Never did that. So it was a complete lost opportunity.
Is your name and address on that, or is it just to
Yeah,
whoever?
here, but it's not on the coupon.
Right.
so they don't know.
They sent that to you because they know you frequent the restaurant. It's not like it was sent to.
I think they sent to everybody on the island.
Oh,
In fact, somebody yesterday said, because I use this, and somebody said, well, you know, how'd you use the coupon if you still have it? I said, I know who was out of town on my street the day it was delivered, and I raided their mailboxes and got, I have a ton of these. And just so I can take them on the road with me. I mean, I'm not, just take them on the road with me. Well, that's the thing. I mean, like my little mail file. Oh, that was the last session, wasn't it? You didn't, yeah, that was the last session. In fact, let me show you. I'll show you since I mentioned it. Again, at the Denver Merchandise Mart. Where's my mailbox? Yeah, I was afraid to lose it. This program on marketing I was doing, I had a young lady come up afterwards, and she said, Barbara, she said, my name is DJ. She said, I have DJ's Boutique. She said, you know what I do? She said, I'm in a tourist area. And she said, I give potential customers and customers a little mail file. They can tuck it in their purse, and well, that'd be fabulous for you. Matchbook.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. And I said, what a cute idea, that's great. And she said, no, my information's on the back. I get back to my hotel room, and I look at it, okay, 124 Main. Does it even have a city?
No.
No. And she's in the tourist area. And I went, what a waste. Well, I always afraid to lose this little thing. So, and this was a couple of years ago, she gave me the first one. So when I was there recently, she said she was in the group. And I recognized her, she wears like this little tiny pill hat. And so I said, DJ, I said, do you have any more of those nail files? I said, that's just such a great idea. And I take it with me around the country and show you because it's just a wonderful idea. She said, oh yes, and gave me a whole stack of them.
Do they still only say one?
Yep, they're exactly the same. I didn't dare tell her. Didn't dare tell her. Before I left Newport Beach, I did a program for the city of Newport Beach. And we were a very, very famous flora shop in Newport Beach called Rogers Gardens. And I was telling the group how important it is to have a focus group. I read on the internet last week that focus groups are out. Don't waste your time, just send emailed surveys. And see, that's something I won't even fill out. So you're not going to get, the information you're looking for. It's a waste of time. When I think about it, since I just got one from Delta this morning about my flight into Great Falls, a 15-minute commitment, I wondered, how many of those do they get back? How many do they actually get back? And then after my surgery, I was taking wheelchairs through airports. And then I would not only get one about my flight, but also one about the wheelchair service. So I was getting two for the same flight. Who has time? Who fills those out? Any of you?
Only if I had a bad experience.
Okay, if you had a bad experience. I have filled them out if they donate to a charity. Then I filled them out. At some hotels they used to have that, they don't anymore. And that one that I showed you, that has 375 options on it, one of these. In this hotel, there was one on the bathroom sink as well as the office desk. In case they figured I didn't have enough to do in the bathroom, I guess, I could take time and fill it out. Where does this thinking come in? I don't know. I don't know at all. I had found a customer response card in my room on the Inn at Mill Falls on Lake Winnipesaukee up in New Hampshire. And, all right, well, first of all, my room overlooked Lake Winnipesaukee. This was in January. Ice fishing, I think, is the dumbest thing in the world. I'm sorry. Do they ice fish here?
Yeah.
To sit in that little hut all day long and drink. I mean, they can drink at home. But then do they catch many fish here? I don't know. Have any of you ever been ice? Have you been ice fishing?
It's fun song.
Yeah.
One for you, one for me.
That's pretty fun.
It's peaceful, it's quiet.
You have to drink to stay warm.
But the response card in my room, totally blank. It had their logo on the top. On the outside of the envelope, there's a little envelope that went with it. And it said customer response card. There was nothing on the card though. So I could write whatever I want. That's the type of response you need. Yes. One shopping center I worked with right above a Seattle Everett Mall, worked with them for years. And the marketing director came to pick me up at my hotel in the morning, and she said, Barbara, we need to stop at the printer's office. She said, I have some little cards printed up for our customer service booth. And came out of the printer, put it on my lap, and said, what do you think? And there were 7 questions on it. And I said, Marie, how many of these do you get back? She said, we don't get them back, but we've got that little spot in the customer service booth. So the kids make airplanes with them, they're all over the mall, and everything. I said, I said, call the printer back, have him deliver this afternoon the same size card, and all I wanted printed on it was, what one thing will bring you back to Everett Mall more often? And it just, I mean, she said, this is fabulous, why didn't we think of this? And now she's getting response. And Everett Mall is where Boeing is. So as I said, she's north of Seattle. And I went into a Red Lobster restaurant there, you know, and it was packed. I had an hour and a half to wait, and I thought, this is a very blue-collar area. Very blue-collar. You know, why don't you take a whole family there? That's expensive, that adds up. So the next day I said to the mall manager, I said, you know, I went to the Red Lobster last night for dinner, and I said, I was amazed at how long I had to wait. She said, yes, this is a blue-collar area, but it's a lovely shade of blue. And I thought it was so neat the way she did it, because it's Boeing, and they're paid very, very well. Yes. Do you notice how I remember everything? Do I take off my blinders? Yes, and Alzheimer's hasn't set in yet, thank goodness. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, so go back to Rogers Garden. So here I am. I've been telling them, you got to do a focus group. So the gentleman who owns Rogers Gardens, he said, Barbara, will you help me with that? I said, certainly. He said, how are we going to do a focus group? And I said, well, first of all, you don't want any more than 10 people. And I said, we may have to invite 20 to get 10. And so we'll do that. And I said, why don't we do it where we have a group of 10 men and 10 women? Because that sounds great. And he said, okay, let's do that. And I said, fine. I said, okay, let me ask all of you guys, what are the 2 busiest days of the year for florists? Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, which is coming up, guys. And girls, don't forget your mothers. All right, so we did the focus groups. I went to the 10 ladies. I said, okay, ladies. I said, are you still that excited with that dozen bunch of roses your husband gives you every Valentine's Day? They go, oh, we'd love something else. I didn't know you did anything else. Went to the 10 men, and I said, okay, gentlemen, your husband's still excited with that dozen bunch of roses? They were, oh no, she'd love something else. So we came up with other arrangements. With ivy, so they'd last longer, and all sorts of different arrangements. But the key was, he named them. He had fun with this group of customers. New Love was $29.99, Proven Love $54.99, Big Love $79.99, and Mad for You Love $99.99. His sales quadrupled this last Valentine's Day because of that. So what are you going to do a little bit different to get your customers in? You've got to try something a little bit different. You also have to reward your staff. What kind of training do you get? Did you get any training? Do you have regular, like employee meetings, staffing? How many are there of you?
5.
Five, okay, well, you should. You should be having staff meetings. How many are within your organization?
For the visitor center, there's 6 of us. But
6?
Yeah.
You have meetings?
No.
No, okay. Okay, how many are in your store?
Well, right now, only 2 workers for the summer, but I have them for dinner and have meetings at my house at dinner, and they're students, so it's kind of nice.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see. You were with which business?
Downtown Association.
Okay. Do you have staff meetings?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, plenty.
All right. All right, I had my own retail business, very successful retail business. We had a mini department store. We were huge in the antique business. We had pickers on the East Coast, Maine, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. We had pickers, and we'd bring back containers from London and Paris. That was a heyday. I mean, that was fabulous. But, you know, I got out of it after 30 years ago. But we had staff meetings. Who do you think was in charge of the meetings? Me, of course. Wrong. Totally wrong. Instead, put somebody else in charge. All right, you're going to take over the meeting this week, Amy, okay? All right, I'm going to give you the agenda, but I want you to come up with one new idea. A new idea that'll bring more people into our boutique, okay? Would you take it over next week?
Yes.
Yes. Good. And I'm going to give you the agenda, but I want you to come up with one new idea. Everybody shows up, they show up on time, something is accomplished, and it doesn't become a gripe session. But it's amazing. You're getting your staff then to take off their blinders and be aware of new ideas. Now, Stu Leonard has 2 stores, Norwalk and Danbury, Connecticut. Dairy, produce, bakery, those are stores. That's what they carry. He brings in dance instructors, and they do square dance lessons inside the store. He brings busloads of kids in. 100,000 customers a week at his 2 little dairy and produce stores in Connecticut. What he does with his staff, he'll say, okay, you 4, I want you to take the company van out today. Now, I don't care where you go. Go get your hair cut, go get a pedicure, manicure, you know, go see a movie, go out for lunch, I don't care what you do. I will pick up the tab for the whole day, so go have a good time. But there's a hitch to it. Not any one of you can come back unless you have a good idea. A good idea that you can bring into my business that may have to tweak it and turn it so it works, but you can't come back until you have a new idea. Waste of time, waste of money? No, not at all. When I think of how many businesses I work with, how many downtowns, main streets, you know, partnerships, and I'll talk to somebody that has a local business, and they'll go, oh, we've always done it this way. Does that work any longer? No, not at all. Definitely doesn't work. Then you've got to make your staff feel good. All right, if I were the manager of your store, you know, and you had a great day, you know, and just sold like crazy, you know, while you're driving home, I may call your house and leave a message if you still have a landline. I do. I still have a landline.
I don't have a cell phone.
You remember? You got to get up with the times. You have a computer?
Oh, yeah, I've got that.
Well, see, I have friends that are your age that they've never had a computer. They're, what would I want a computer for? I said, you know, I mean, how many times I Google things, you know, during the day and everything, and the information I get off of my computer, I mean, it's just amazing. And I can't believe, you know, I mean, that's somebody with their blinders on, definitely. All right, you've done a fabulous job. I'm going to call your house and leave a message, you know, or write a note if you don't have a landline. I don't know what you have. Do you have a landline? Okay, yeah. I have in case of emergency, you know, if my cell phone service is out or something. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. You're going to feel good when you get home and you have a message from me. Congratulations on the job well done. You had a great day. You know, maybe next week I'll send you a little note in the mail. You know, how many times do we even get notes in the mail anymore? We never do. Never do. So what a nice little surprise. You know, so little things like that, and letting your staff know that they're appreciated. You know, give them the day off that they want. You know, give them an afternoon off. Sometimes also you can do it in the store. Some of them like to be praised in front of their fellow workers, and some don't. They want it done in private, correct? Yeah. So you've got to get to know your staff, but you've got to anyway, don't you? I was working in Covina, California, and I had a gentleman that had a florist shop. And he comes up to me, he hands me his card, and he said, Barbara, I'm Jim. He said, I have a florist shop. He said, well, actually, I have 4 of them. And I said, you do? I said, congratulations, that's great. He said, you know, because I do something the other florists don't want to do. He said, they don't want to work with brides. He said, I'll work with the brides, I don't mind. So he said, when a bride comes in, I show her my books of everything I've done so she can kind of see the quality of my arrangements and my ideas. And then I let her know to fill out the little form and to drop it in the fishbowl at the end of the counter, because every Saturday I draw a name out of there, and that bride, the name I the name I pick out of there, that bride gets $400 off the wedding package. And so they all fill out the little card and drop their name in the bowl. Saturday comes around, you know what he does? And he calls every single one of those cards that's in the bowl. Tell them that they're a winner. Isn't that fabulous? Look at the business he can do. He may pump up his, his products, $400 more, but to them, they're the winner. You know, if you're gonna ever do a contest where you put a percentage off in a balloon or anything, from 10 to 50% off, you never start at 10. You always start at 15. Because somebody pops it, they say 15%, they feel they're better than 10%. So they're already a winner. Have you ever heard of seeding a parking lot? Car dealers seed a parking lot. You're walking, their outer lot rather. You're walking through their lot looking at cars. You find a quarter on the ground. Aren't you going to think it's your lucky day? I don't make any of this stuff up. Anything. I ask questions. Our time's about to end with a fun story, but I'll tell you something real fast. In New Orleans a couple of years ago, I was there working for a week, and a gal that worked for me hasn't had the opportunity to travel. So, I gave her points for an airline ticket and got her down so she could come down and spend the rest of the week with me, because I love New Orleans. I love historic buildings, and I love the French Quarter. And so she had wanted to do, could we do like a little tour so I could kind of get to know the area of the French Quarter, the cemeteries, and Lake Pontchartrain and so on. I said, certainly. So when I called the little van company for the tour, I said, I want to be picked up first. You're going to pick the 2 of us up first. He goes, okay, sure, I'll do that. And Pam looks at me and she goes, Barbara, why are we asked to be picked up first? I said, because I want to sit in the front and I want to ask questions. And all of the tourists in the back of the bus, the back of the little van, never asked a question. They just sat there, riding along. I asked questions. We ended up going to, the driver told me about, a gospel brunch down in the warehouse district. That was the most fabulous thing. And if you don't ask questions, you're not going to find out these things. No, when you look at how many people just go through life. I mean, I remember sitting in the lobby and waiting for her because she doesn't travel. She's only traveled twice with me. My age has never flown, except for 2 times. And so I'm waiting. She's just waiting for me in the lobby of the hotel. I said, yes. And she says, my sons have told me how I can get from the hotel to from the airport to the hotel. And as I'm sitting there, I'm gathering up all the brochures. I mean, I've been to New Orleans many, many times. But I'm gathering up all the brochures and everything to see what I haven't seen, what she would be interested in. And as I'm sitting there, there's a couple from Paris that are there. And their room isn't ready yet. So they're just sitting there. I think, what a waste of time. gather up, kind of plan what you're going to do. Here I was asked to speak at Neiman Marcus right outside of Chicago, at the Oakwood Shopping Center. And I was asked to go in and pump up the fur salesman. Well, first of all, fur coats aren't selling because of animal rights. And those that have them don't even wear them. So I'm thinking, oh boy, this is gonna be fun. I went and I had so much fun. They were all men. I had so much fun with them. And I went back 3 weeks later, and little Harry Gold comes running after me, and he says, Barbara, he said, you told me that I'm the only one that can sell. And he said, you pumped me up so much, I was determined to sell. So he said, here I am in the atrium one day, and this woman walks through the door. He said, I got so excited, I ran over, I grabbed her, I pulled her up to the mirror, one of those long, thin mirrors, and started trying fur coats on her. He said, fur was going everywhere. I was having so much fun. He said, so I pulled her up to the mirror real close so she could see herself. She looked beautiful. But then I noticed, this is the woman I thought it was. It was the wrong woman. She bought the coat, a $24,000 coat. She called 2 days later and she said, my husband's always said what's good enough for mothers, good enough for daughter, and you tried a real cute little short one on me. Do you think you could wrap that up? Well, of course he said yes. She came in to pick it up and he said, your husband must be awfully generous. She goes, well, he was. He died 6 months ago. He always said what's good enough for mothers, good enough for daughter. She said, here I was sitting in the attorney's office. I found out I was a millionaire, and I didn't know what to do. She said, so I thought, I'm going shopping. So on the way to the mall, she said, I prayed to God for a sign. And Harry, you were just that sign. You never know who you're serving, do you? Thank you very, very much.
Thanks for coming. We have one more workshop this afternoon at 3:30 to 5 on customer service, the customer experience that wows. Tomorrow, don't forget, we have a luncheon that starts at 11:30 to 1:30, and Barbara will be speaking on how the business world is changing. We still have space available if you haven't signed up for that. It's $15 if you sign up after this. And
Cheap enough.
yes. Thank you so